Okay, and Spirit. Um, Comments about the reply to your quantum quackery video. Yeah, okay, Nicotine had said, Nicotine 2, saying that humans have been seeking a classical explanation for consciousness for hundreds of years doesn't seem completely accurate. Fields like neuroscience and cognitive science, which have hugely expanded our understanding of the subject, have only existed for a few decades. And notably, only after quantum mechanics was already established as a field of physics. Well, no, I mean, because the empirical method has been advocated by the skeptics for thousands of years. There have been people in philosophy applying that idea that you have to have evidence from your senses. And so I count that. And saying only a couple centuries is just since classical physics. And I think you can actually include all the natural philosophers and their questions of consciousness. We might not have gotten very close, but in 1,000 years, it won't look like we're very close yet. So depends what you're saying. We're close to the next step, and they were close to their next step. Now, N Spirit then begs to differ with that. He says a discernible distinction can be made between empirically based investigations that make use of the scientific method, i.e., the brain sciences, and that of mere armchair philosophy. Yeah, of mere armchair philosophy, but what are you talking about? You think that's what philosophy is in total? Listen, uh, the scientific method was invented by philosophers, okay, and developed by philosophers. A kind of philosopher that took it over, was a natural philosopher looking for things from nature. And those people that were looking for knowledge from and about nature came up with the empiricism, because empiricism is the way to do that. It's the way to go to the images of nature, and it all hooks together. And this has been advocated by skeptics for thousands of years. Okay, and it was adopted in natural philosophy, and it is a subset of philosophy. Okay, so the people that have, so the skeptics thought about questions of will and consciousness, and when they were doing that, they were doing so empirically. Of course, if you give a couple thousand years, the experiments get very refined, and if we give it another 1,000, ours will look crude compared to how refined they'll be then. But it's still the empirical method, and the fact that it's like humans, we come from animals, we're a subset of animals, and then we want to say, no, we're separate, we're apart, we're separate. But we are just one part of a whole, and the scientific method is a subset. So granted, there's some people that don't believe in empiricism. I agree that their philosophy is a little bit laughable. You have to bring things back to experiences, and you can certainly do it with experiences that science doesn't understand yet, like the experience of choosing something. That's what we're trying to explain, and when we're explaining will and consciousness, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, there's the sense of explaining, why does this appearance appear to me? Okay, but I think that's the same question as of will, and how do we make choices? Okay, because as a part of choice is that we have the appearance of options. Okay. Um, you are also talking about that since quantum mechanics usually cancel out, the brain would have to try really hard to use it. And of course, that's one way of putting it, but I mean, it uses the photoelectric effect in the eyeball. Really even more amazing, with the ears, we have sounds that are like hum and tick 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 and vibrations. We decode all of that into spatial information of what's going on around us. The brain tries pretty hard to collect information. And this idea of stuff canceling out, I always use the same metaphor about the macroscope and microscope kind of thing. Magnetism. That's only a molecular phenomena, really. When you have a macroscopic magnet, it's because you've aligned a bunch of little tiny magnets. Everything is magnetic on the microscopic level. It usually cancels out. But once we discover this effect, we don't have much problem making magnets. And there's magnetic tissues. Evolution has proven to be pretty good at so-called exploiting these rules of physics. So the idea is that you align up quantum effects and then you get macroscopic effects. So like photosynthesis, we're starting out asking about a plant level phenomena. How does it get its energy from the sun? The plant, right? It manages to get that energy and use it throughout the plant. When we break that all down and reduce it to the cells that are doing the light collection, they all are, if they're using quantum mechanics, they're basically aligning the quantum mechanical effects like we align the magnetic fields of, uh, of atoms to make macroscopic magnets, and that's how we make macroscopic quantum machines, machines that use quantum effects. Um, I don't know why you would want to think that quantum mechanics wouldn't be in play. Basically, uh, you also make the same mistake you're making, I think, against the guy that your answer was probably, but I don't know his view exactly, but you're doing the same thing to me, that's saying that I'm trying to say that just one thing. I don't even know about these electron gaps. I'm just saying, first of all, the system of consciousness is the whole living system, so it even includes things like, our glucose systems. But the reason we're looking for something, the quantum mechanical part now, is we have never explained choice. This is something we experience daily. It's the essence of our life, and yet science really at this point can't even hardly make a guess as to what could explain choice, because our physical laws, even the quantum mechanical ones, talk about things causing other things. And it's this part of the confusion that makes you and people go into this deal of thinking that I am arguing that there's uncaused, that things are divorced from their causes. And no, because in quantum mechanics, you have a cause. As you flip the coin, it's going to come up, heads or tails. So even if you had a magical quantum power to do one or the other, you could, to make it one or the other, it would still just be one or the other. You couldn't make it come up something besides heads or tails. Granted, maybe you could make it land on its edge, but then that's just one more possibility. You can make the coin turn into something else, right? So the possibilities would be limited. And frankly, I think it's unlikely you'll be able to use quantum mechanics to make heads come up heads or tails. But I do think you'll be able to do it to do communication systems, interesting computers that can crack any code in a split second, and energy transfer systems. They're getting things efficient on scales that isn't possible with classical mechanics, like superconductance and low temperature superconductance and things like this. So there's a lot of interesting things we will build from it, and I have every reason to think we'll find that life through evolution has exploited some of these possibilities where it makes sense. So I guess that's it. All right, cheers. Happy Sunday morning. And I know I have the video around here. Here we go.